Good afternoon, colleagues. We are delighted to see so many people joining us here today. My name is Juan Pablo Hofmeister, Multilateral Governance Manager at the Green Climate Fund, and it's my pleasure to welcome you to this joint event of the Global Environment Facility and the Green Climate Fund. We have a very busy program, but we're very happy to see so many of you here. And I would like to start actually by giving the floor to Her Excellency Josefa Leonel Correa Sacco, Commissioner for Rural Economy and Agriculture for the African Union Commission. Um, Your Excellency, thank you very much for joining us, and the floor is yours.
Thank you, moderator, for giving me the floor. Good afternoon, every one of you. Let me recognize the excellencies ministers present here, development partners, distinguished participants, ladies and gentlemen, and all protocol really duly observed. Today is Agricultural Day, so it is our day, so we need to really interact and see how we can really overcome this food crisis that we are passing, because our populations are suffering, our communities are suffering, Africa is suffering because of climate change. So it's a big day for reflection, for us to really put the right finance, because we have the tools. We have the tools on the continent, but we don't have money, and money is about all. So we are here to come and mobilize funds to implement our own initiatives. Like this one, the Great Green Wall, it is the African-made initiative. It is it belongs to us. This is our property right. That's why we're here, and it's very important. So on behalf of the African Union, let me welcome you to this important side event that deals with theme central to the sustainable implementation of our initiative, the Great Green Wall in our member states. Synergic intervention and resource mobilization. That's what we want. Let me use this opportunity to offer a word of gratitude to His Excellency Mahmoud Buhari, President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria and President of the Head of State Summit of the Pan-African Agency for the Great Green Wall Initiative, for his leadership and support to the Great Green Wall Initiative and African Union in general. I thank the Great Green Wall Fund for I thank the Green Climate Fund for hosting this event in their pavilion, and for their technical and financial support for the member states through the umbrella program with IFAD, UNCCD, and FAO. The Great Green Wall Initiative is a Pan-African initiative, as I said, created to enhance the capacity of our member states in combating land degradation, desertification, drought, and resilience to climate change in the Sahel and the dry land of the continent. It stands as one of the most innovative approaches, promoting nature-based solutions, leveraging ecosystem services on the continent and beyond. The Great Green Wall is a crucial initiative providing the platform for implementing African Union Agenda 2063 flagship, including the CADEP Malabo Declaration, the IFCFTA, the Renewable Energy, Peace and Security Infrastructure. After more than a decade and a half of successful inception and implementation, mainly in the Sahel and the Sahara region, the initiative has attracted several political, technical, and financial pleas to support implementation. Several development partners have provided technical and financial support, including the World Bank, EU, African Development Bank, the governments of Turkey, Italy, France, GCF, IFAD, FAO, UNCCD, EUNCN, and others. For the Great Green Wall, the policy of the African Union has always shown consistency that sustainable implementation can only be carried out in a synergic, integrated at the local, national, and regional level. The Great Green Wall Initiative model has proven to be very successful and is now being extended to the other dry land of the continent. The African Union Commission, in collaboration with the SADC Secretariat, FAO, and our member states, is in the phase of rolling out in the region. The African regional strategy has been produced and adopted, and all the member states are now being supported to produce their strategy. Despite the achievement and fund raised, the initiative is crucially short of funds. The challenges have been primarily technical on the technical level. It is not the lack of fund, but it is at the technical level. Sorry, at the 2021 One Planet Summit, over 23 billions was pledged by our development partner. We set up the Great Green Wall Accelerator for follow-up to mobilize these pledges. The team has been doing an excellent job, in collaboration with all the stakeholders. The questions are, why are the funds not coming? The same thing here. Why are the $100 million promised to us for climate action is not coming? It's the same question. Maybe somebody will have an answer during here. Otherwise, sitting, spending money in planes, spending money in the hotels to come for this gathering, and we are not taking any takeaway home. Better save this money and we can do adaptation programs on our continent. Better stay and under our own platform and solve our problem. Because the next COP26, 28, if COP27 doesn't give us concrete results, my brother African, don't let us go. There was a good example now in the region about cocoa producers. Nigeria, Cote d'Ivoire, and Ghana, they boycotted an event with partners because they don't see any essence of going there. We are not here to do tourism. The partner that undertook. So the question are, where are the funds not coming? What are the challenges? Do we have bankable projects or we don't have bankable projects? What should be done? If we don't have bankable projects, we are asking our partners to help us build capacity and start really, building capacity of our youth, our experts, to have bankable projects and have access to these funds. The partners that undertook these pledges are not new. They are our long-term partners. So, as I said, it is not the lack of money. So we have introduced some concrete recommendation to unblock these much needed funds, especially at this time of price hikes, extreme climate condition, and conflicts on our continent, and COVID-19 as well. So simplifying procedures and lightening the bureaucracy to facilitate the absorption of funds, without which we cannot deliver on the 1.5 degree and implement the Great Green Wall Initiative. 2, provision of capacity building to our member states. If this is significant challenges, let the EU, the GCF, ADB, and the World Bank train staff to be able to bring up the kind of documents and strategy that they could consider for funding. Three, break down the fund into manageable size if they think our member state and partner do not have to absorb capacity, the absorptive capacity. And four, our member state also need to build trust and with our partners. So I thank you very much for your kind attention. Merci beaucoup, muito obrigada, muitas gracias, shukran, asante sana.
Commissioner, thank you very much on behalf of the Green Climate Fund and the GEF. I want to thank you for your sovereign words and for providing that clear leadership. I understand you will need to leave us in a moment, but please allow me to express my gratitude for your words. We will now be turning to sorry. We will now be turning to a joint presentation from the GEF and the GCF. As you might know, we as two operating entities of the financial mechanism have committed to work with our partners, including UNCCD and the Pan-African Agency and many others in delivering on these important needs. So with this, I'd like to turn the floor now to my colleagues, Alok Barmwa from the GEF and Carolina Fuentes from GCF for a short presentation.
Thank you, Juan. I hope I can. My name is Alok Barnwal. I have the privilege of managing one of the Great Green Wall projects funded by the GEF and the Least Developed Countries Fund on Adaptation. So, first of all, I'd like to again welcome on behalf of GEF and GCF. I can see we have an amazing participation and amazing line of speakers, excellence, including excellencies. So I will be quick. I'll try to just briefly touch upon some of the initiatives that GEF is taking in the region and our collaboration with GCF, UNCCD, Pan-African Agency for Great Green Wall, and other partners, particularly IFAD and UNEP. So we already know how Great Green Wall Initiative has evolved over the years. It is definitely one of the most vulnerable regions in the world. The temperature increase is definitely much higher than the global average. But we are also seeing, and we have witnessed over last decade or so, that there is a very strong collective will to act and address some of the environmental challenges and the sustainability challenges and community related challenges that the region is facing. And on top of that, what we are also seeing is that the program has evolved from a simple greening plantation initiative to a more systemic approach, aiming for a transformation to transform livelihoods, vulnerable ecosystems, and societies. We are seeing amazing leadership, ambition, and collaboration, which is very visible today. I don't need to allude to it again. But the fact is that the region still remains the most vulnerable, and more action is needed, more collaboration is needed, and we need to, again, work together more. So quickly, GEF is one of the pioneers, one of the initial institutions which looked at this region as one of the regions where we can deliver transformational benefits, we can deliver global environmental benefits. So we played a leading role in influencing a shift from initial vision of a basic, greening to an approach which is more integrated, in terms of managing natural resources and transforming livelihoods and landscapes. We have a number of projects we are supporting. I'm sure you are aware of that, including Terra Africa, SAWAP, the Food Security Integrated Approach Program, our first integrated approach pilots, one of the first integrated approach pilots. And of course, I would like to specify here the contribution of the Least Developed Countries Fund, given that in the Sahel region, most of the countries are LDCs. the Least Developed Countries Fund has provided useful support and resources, more than 100 billion, to help countries adapt to climate change adaptation. We have two projects currently ongoing. One is small but very catalytic project with our partners UNEP, and it is basically looking at how we can have a more strengthened institutional governance framework and also capacity in the institutions in the countries to identify what priorities are, where the investments and more action is needed. We also have this great project on adaptation with IFAD on which covers all the LDCs and helping them support on multiple fronts, including support to innovative projects with CSOs, MSMEs, and community groups, and also looking at innovation side, particularly on the digital transformation. Way forward, and then after that, I'll hand over to Carolina. We have, we are in GEF 8 phase. We have plans to work more. We are aiming to develop, again, a big regional program in the line of the accelerator that was mentioned earlier. It aims to support the priorities that we have identified in the medium-sized project that we are currently developing, and also strengthen the partnerships which are there in the region. The LDCF, I'm pleased to say that in this round, the allocation for adaptation finance to LDCs everywhere, including in GGW, has been increased from $10 million to $20 million for each country. So this is another useful resource where we are taking whole of society approach and supporting adaptation priorities across different thematic areas. And I would like to end my part by just emphasizing again that we are collaborating with GCF on this program, and we aim to strengthen it further in the GEF 8 phase to ensure that there is an enabling environment for the transformation that we are looking at in this region. With that, I'll pass to Carolina. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Alok. And thanks also to the distinguished panel and to all participants in here. And thank you for your presentation. That is an excellent segue also for me to introduce the support and the work of GCF in collaboration with the strategic partners. This has been a joint journey with GEF, with IFAD, with the UNCCD, with UNEP, and with other partners, many of them around the room, and some of them also as panelists. And this joint journey has also helped us demonstrate the collective ability that we have to implement and to enhance complementarity and coherence across the climate finance landscape. That's one of the key added values of this project. Now, when it comes to the specific sectors that have been supported, we have supported climate resilient agriculture, ecosystem restoration, and climate resilient infrastructure, in particular renewable energy. This has taken the form of 30 funding proposals. This is 30 funding proposals for a total amount of $3.5 billion, including $1.1 billion of GCF funding. This includes as well an innovative proposal for a regional support program that will also increase the collective impact of the individual projects. On the readiness side, 37 grants have been approved for a total amount of 31 million. We trust that this support will help the 11 countries of the Great Green Wall Initiative in implement the goals that they have set. As mentioned right at the beginning, this is their initiative, and these are the goals that the countries have set. Next slide. Looking forward, we see that the engagement with partners will continue to be central to the deployment of the initiative. Also, as many of you might be aware, the GCF is going into its second replenishment period that will run from 2024 to 2027. We trust that we'll be able also to receive contributions that can allow the GCF to continue being well positioned to support countries, and 11 countries of the GGW Initiative continue to implement their climate ambition through this very innovative initiative. On this basis, we plan also to continue our engagement with NDAs, the national designated authorities, and the accredited entities, and our partners here represented, so we can continue supporting the countries. Final slide. Just to mention that both on the side of GCF, as we go into GCF2 and also into GEF 8, we look forward to continue teaming up with our strategic partners so we can continue supporting the Great Green Wall Initiative, both at the strategic and at the operational levels. Thank you so much. Back to you, Juan. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Carolina and Alok, for providing that summary. We are now going to turn to the second part of this session, which will be a panel presided by Andrea Mesa Murillo, Deputy Executive Secretary of the UNCCD. So with that, let me turn it over to Andrea, and thank you.
Thank you, Juan, and good afternoon, Excellencies. It's really my pleasure, my honor to be facilitating this panel. As a former Minister of Environment, believe me, I really understand what you are saying about the needs and how important it is to mobilize more resources, because we need to really see and transform the reality in the ground. And this requires investments in a much higher scale. And this is why we really would like to thank what the GCF and the GEF are doing, are two important vehicles to mobilize resources. The work that we're doing with our colleagues, UNEP, IFAD as well, it's very important to generate this enabling environment. Investing in land management, investing in land restoration, it's one of the most cost-effective ways to guarantee livelihoods, to guarantee and transform and achieve the 1.5 goal, generate resilience. And this is why we're here together to think and understand better how can we work and continue working under this common vision of the Great Green Wall. We have there a clear mission to restore 100 million hectares of degraded lands by 2030. This is quite an important milestone in common vision. And we really need to see then more resources coming to the ground to see this reality happening. But it's not only about transforming these jobs, but also about generating 10 million jobs. And this is also about transforming and putting well-being in the center of all this transformation. So thank you for this. We are hosting the Great Green Wall Accelerator, and our job is really to try to articulate, understand, identify projects, and facilitate this radical collaboration, because this is what we need to achieve and do the transformational change. But with that, I would like to start with the panel, with the Honorable Minister, His Excellency Mr. Abdullahi, from Nigeria, Minister of Environment of Nigeria and President of the Council of Ministers of the Pan-African Agency of the Great Green Wall. Thank you for being here. Your Excellency, your country, Nigeria, took the presidency of this Pan-African Green Wall Initiative in December 2021. Can you tell us more about the actions you took as the President of the Council of the Ministers of the Great Green Wall to mobilize financial and technical partners?
Thank you very much for this question. My colleagues, honorable ministers of environment from various countries, and let me also thank the GCF and the GF for putting off this event. Now, the Nigeria's President, Muhammadu Buhari, assumed the leadership of the Pan-African Great Green Wall as the President Conference of Heads of States and Government of the Pan-African Great Green Wall member states. So a corollary to that is that in my capacity as the Minister for Environment for Nigeria, I also automatically become the chairman of the Council of Ministers of Environment of member states. So on assumption of office, what we did to mobilize resources is at the sidelines of the COP15 in Abidjan, Mr. President convened a high-level meeting of donor agencies and multilateral agencies from the United Nations to African Union to European Union to the donors, the World Bank, UNDP, One Planet Summit, and a host of other countries and other partners. So at that meeting, it was agreed that the ministers of finance of the member states of the Pan-African Green Wall Initiative will meet and develop a pipeline of projects depending on each country's national priority. Subsequent to that, it was also agreed that we will meet in Nigeria at the level of Council of Ministers. One, to launch the tree planting campaign initiative for Nigeria, and then also explore additional funding mechanisms for member states. We are lucky we met with my brother, the executive secretary, and his team, Ibrahim Said. They came to Nigeria, we met and agreed on the modalities for the structure of the pipeline of projects that can be financed under one, the GGW Accelerator, or other sources that will finance our activities. It was also further resolved that member countries should also develop homegrown financing initiatives to support their GGW initiative priorities in those countries. So at the moment where we are now, we are liaising with the executive secretary to now get a consultant, a World Bank consultant, that will now look at each country's pipeline of projects and align it to the initiative and objectives of the GGW, then package a multi-member demand. So at the moment, we're at that stage where we are going to appoint consultants that will do the packaging. The GGW Accelerator is willing to accept those identified projects and then plow those finances with the support of the MD of Global Mechanisms. Now, Global Mechanisms is also trying to see how they can, I'm sure she's not here, Louise Becker. She's also working with us, with the consultant, to package each country's national priorities in terms of project. The unfortunate thing is that some countries are still not ready. But some countries have shown seriousness. They have indicated interest. They've given us projects. We're at level of assessment. But some other countries have not done so. So I will urge member states that have not done so to reach out to the Secretariat of the Pan-African Green Wall Initiative, led by Ibrahim Said, and ensure that they submit those projects so that we can subject them to assessment and possible recommendation for funding. So that is where we are at this stage, and I hope I can speak more later. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Your Excellency. I think it has been very interesting what you have been sharing with us and how difficult sometimes is to structure projects. We think that that's an easy task, but sometimes it's one of the biggest challenges that we face at the national level. Now I would like to turn to Mrs. Garama. Your country, Niger, is one of the most advanced in the mobilization of the Great Green Wall National Coalition. You have been leading this process. Can you explain to our audience what this coalition can bring to the coordination process at the national level?
Merci beaucoup. Okay. Thank you very much. Merci beaucoup. Je voudrais tout d'abord remercier l'organisation, plus spécifiquement donc le Fonds Vert pour avoir organisé cet événement qui concerne donc la mobilisation des financements en lien avec la Grande Muraille Verte. Ce qu'il faut savoir, c'est que l'initiative Grande Muraille Verte étant un mécanisme régional qui a pour souci de lutter contre les changements climatiques, mais aussi toutes les conséquences qui sont liées, telles que les sécheresses, les dégradations de terres, les inondations, les migrations, etc., etc., est un grand défi pour les pays, notamment les pays membres de la Grande Muraille Verte. Alors pour nous, il s'agit effectivement de mettre à l'échelle belles réalisations qui ont été faites, en tout cas positives, dans le cadre de la grande muraille verte. Je sais que les présentations en ont montré beaucoup d'exemples ici. Mais cette mise à l'échelle, effectivement, pose le grand défi de la mobilisation des fonds conséquents. Et je pense que c'est vraiment ici l'idée au niveau de cet événement. Alors, pour le cas du Niger, comme vous le savez, la mise en œuvre de la Grande Muraille Verte, pour nous, serait donc le lieu d'impacter de façon positive notre PIB, de faire donc la promotion des chaînes de valeur et aussi de faire de la promotion des produits made in Niger. Mais toujours effectivement en sachant que nous avons les fonds conséquents avec nous. C'est pourquoi donc sous le leadership de son Excellence Monsieur le Président de la République, chef de l'État, Mohamed Bazoum, il nous a été instruit, en tout cas tous les ministères concernés, que ce soit le ministère de l'énergie, de l'eau, de la santé, de l'éducation, etc., etc., et aussi même avec le secteur privé et la société civile, il nous a été demandé de former ce que nous avons appelé la task force. La task force se veut être quand même une coalition inclusive, donc intégratrice en tout cas de tous les secteurs prioritaires qui sont concernés par la Grande Muraille Verte. C'est pourquoi à ce jour nous avons formé donc la task force. En tout cas, je voudrais même profiter de ce micro pour remercier l'UNCCD qui nous a appuyés effectivement dans un peu le processus donc de la mise en place de cette task force là. Aujourd'hui au Niger, ce sont plus de 30 projets comme ça que nous avons élaborés et estimés à plus de 3 milliards de dollars. Et nous espérons qu'avec l'appui de l'UNCCD, qui a déjà recruté un expert qui va nous accompagner en tout cas dans la formulation, parce qu'il faudrait aussi que les projets qu'on élabore soient bancables, donc qui sont, c'est-à-dire conformes aux procédures des bailleurs, vous savez. Donc je pense que cela va être donc le lieu ici donc de remercier encore une fois de plus l'UNCCD pour cet accompagnement-là. Et nous avons les projets qui sont là disponibles et nous sommes en train toujours d'aller dans le sens de la formulation d'autres projets, en tout cas bancables, avec les bailleurs. Ce que nous souhaiterons effectivement, c'est que ce processus-là soit aussi inclusif en partant donc de toutes les institutions du gouvernement, de la société civile, le secteur privé, mais aussi nous souhaiterons effectivement à ce que les partenaires puissent accompagner ce processus-là, parce que comme vous le savez, les projets que nous élaborons, nous les voulons effectivement des projets en conformité avec les procédures des bailleurs, et cela ne serait être sans que ces bailleurs-là ne soient à nos côtés. Et pour cela, il nous faudrait plus de communication et de dialogue avec ces partenaires. Cela va non seulement nous permettre donc de parler de façon plus facile aux bailleurs, mais aussi de maîtriser certaines des procédures et aussi de faciliter, je pense, l'expertise allant dans le sens de nous permettre d'absorber et d'accéder à ces fonds qui ont été annoncés depuis 2021. Je vous remercie pour cela.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Your Excellency. And we will do a little change in the sequence of this panel. I would like now to give the floor in this first round of questions to Her Excellency Mrs. Camara, the Minister of Environment from Mauritania. And after that, then we will move to the agencies, and then we will give a final remark here with the Ministers of Environment, if you allow me to. So, Your Excellency, your country, Mauritania, has 90% of degraded and desertified lands. How do you see the future if the Great Green Wall efforts are achieved by 2030? Your Excellency, over to you.
Okay. Thank you very much. Bonsoir, je vais m'exprimer en français. Bonsoir, messieurs et mesdames, chère Excellence. Tout d'abord, je tiens à remercier les organisateurs de ce panel qui était très attendu. Vous voyez effectivement l'Assemblée. On attendait tous effectivement d'avoir cette discussion sur la Grande Muraille Verte. Et donc, je remercie l'UNCCD, mais également le FIDA, les GEF et le GEC pour avoir organisé ce panel. Tout d'abord, je voudrais effectivement saluer et rappeler la vision qu'ont eu des hommes tels que Maître Ouad, mais également le président Obasanjo, pour avoir lancé cette initiative. C'est vraiment une initiative de visionnaire et nous devons impérativement de la réussir pour les générations futures. Parce que mettre un mur qui sépare le désert du reste de l'Afrique, je pense qu'effectivement, il est nécessaire aujourd'hui. Nous le voyons tous, la désertification avance et nous devons mettre en œuvre cette grande vision. La Mauritanie est mal placée. Nous ne sommes pas du tout les premiers de la classe. Le Niger et le Sénégal sont des bons exemples. Notre ambition est de faire 10 millions d'hectares de reboisement et de régénération de terres à l'horizon 2030, créer 300 000 emplois, mais également financer 3 000, ce qu'on appelle les FACI, les fermes agricoles communautaires intégrées. Donc nous sommes loin de ces chiffres-là et la voie que nous prenons, malheureusement, n'est pas encourageante. C'est pourquoi il est important de faire une pause et de voir dans quelle mesure on peut améliorer les choses. Son Excellence, le ministre de l'Environnement du Nigeria, a parlé tantôt de ce qui a été fait au niveau du Nigeria pour accélérer le financement de la Grande Muraille Verte. La ministre du Niger également a donné les voies et moyens d'aller dans ce sens-là. Et il me paraissait important de rappeler quelques recommandations que nous aurions. D'abord, c'est par rapport à la priorité qu'on devrait donner à certaines initiatives, telles que la Grande Muraille Verte. Nous ne pouvons pas continuer à être dans une compétition pour les fonds. Nous n'avons pas du tout les mêmes moyens d'un pays à l'autre. Et donc, il est important, aussi bien pour le GEF que pour le GEC, qu'il y ait en fait la notion de priorité. Et la Grande Muraille Verte est une priorité, il me semble. Également, la deuxième recommandation serait également le transfert de compétences. Je pense qu'aujourd'hui, on ne peut pas continuer à reboiser ou à réhabiliter des terres, étant donné la quantité de terres à reboiser, les ambitions que nous avons aujourd'hui, avec des moyens artisanaux ou des moyens, je dirais, traditionnels. Il est important, effectivement, qu'on aille très vite vers les nouvelles technologies qui existent pour qu'on puisse mettre en œuvre nos ambitions. Je pense aussi qu'il est important, on l'a tous évoqué tout à l'heure, et tant mieux si ça a été fait au niveau de l'accélérateur pour l'accélérateur pour la Grande Muraille Verte, mais je pense qu'il faudrait faire plus. Il faudrait d'abord que cet accélérateur soit au niveau de la panafricaine et que chaque pays, les 11 pays, puissent bénéficier d'une assistance technique de taille, que ne sont pas une personne, mais dans des différents domaines qui sont concernés, aussi bien sur la partie environnementale pure, mais que sur la partie économique, mais également sur la partie scientifique, que nous ayons de l'assistance technique pour aller dans le sens de l'accélération. Je voudrais également rappeler un des principes, qui est le principe de la solidarité. Il est important aujourd'hui, c'est le principe même de l'environnement, et je pense qu'il est important qu'on le mette en œuvre pour la Grande Muraille Verte. Nous avons la chance d'être 11, et nous devons également d'apprendre les uns des autres. En tout cas, trouver une plateforme pour que l'exemple du Niger ou du Sénégal, qui sont premiers de la classe aujourd'hui, malgré le retard qu'eux sont accusés, partagent leurs expériences de manière beaucoup plus détaillée pour que les autres pays en bénéficient. Je pense qu'on est dans une ère aujourd'hui, il n'y a pas besoin de réinventer la roue, mais il est important effectivement d'adapter ce qui a été fait aux différentes expériences. Voilà ce que je vais dire. La Mauritanie, nous avons l'ambition d'y arriver, mais je pense qu'effectivement qu'il y a ces éléments-là à prendre en compte. Merci.
Merci, muchas gracias. So now we will do these adjustments, Your Excellencies, and we would like to give the floor to Mrs. Jo Puri, Associate Vice President, Strategy and Knowledge Department of IFAD. And really, I get inspired when I see so much powerful women here leading this transformation. So, Mrs. Jo Puri, please over to you for your reflections.
Thank you so much, Andrea. Your Excellencies, Inger, ladies and gentlemen, such a pleasure and privilege for me to be here. 11 countries, 8,000 kilometers by 15 kilometers, 10 million jobs, 100 million tons of carbon, and at last count, at least 10 agencies. 10 agencies that I counted just here, and then the governments of the 11 countries. This is as complex as it gets. So I want to take on the challenge. I want to take on the challenge of what Her Excellency Joseph Sacco said right at the beginning. Clearly, a lot of the commitments have been made, right? But a lot of commitments have been made in financing. At the last Earth Summit, there was, depending on how you count, between $4 and $23 billion that was committed to the Great Green Wall. We know that there are very important pillars of the Great Green Wall that IFAD is supporting along with many other agencies. This is on the technical level, so restoring ecosystem services and restoring degraded rangelands. It's about building climate-safe infrastructure. It's about creating capacity, it's about building policy, and it's really about creating an ecosystem that needs to scale the entire initiative up so that this is not just a one-off. So with this, when IFAD came in and our proposal with the GCF got approved by the board just this year, that's approximately $220 million, essentially just going into the Inclusive Green Financing Initiative. And the fifth pillar of the Great Green Wall that we're supporting is also getting access to small and medium enterprises through public development banks and national development banks, so that as these sovereign loans and sovereign grants go to the countries where Your Excellencies are sitting, it's really important that those banks are also serving the marginalized and those that are left behind. But to set up those systems requires time, to do the due diligence, to get the no objection letters, to make sure that this multi-country project has all of the things in place so that the whole is greater than the sum of the parts, takes time. Also, because as an IFI, I need to do my own due diligence within the system to ensure that all of the procurement systems are in place, to ensure that we've got the right actors lined up with the governments that we are serving, because this is what Your Excellencies are asking of us, to do the due diligence, to provide the technical assurance and the quality on the ground. Because what is important with the Great Green Wall is not just that it's catalyzing finance. It is catalyzing quality finance. And that quality needs to show, because that we are changing and transforming the entire landscape of 8,000 kilometers from Senegal to Djibouti. My last point here, Chair, with your permission, is to say that the GCF has been working in a very complementary way with all of us. I think what we are recognizing is the scale of the problem, but also that we need to change our own systems. Within IFAD, we've undertaken an entire change in our systems because, and I looked at the Global Environment Facility in a previous incarnation. 4 countries to get the first dollar from the Global Environment Facility in the 1980s, and I was part of the evaluation team there. It used to take, for a large size project, it used to take 3.5 years. The GCF has done splendidly well. When I was at the GCF, it used to take at least 3.5 years. They've cut down the funded activity agreement signing to timed exactly with the board. So systems transformations also require time, and we've got to start to build new systems if we know that there's consistent and persistent financing that is going to come through. That is what is going to change the systems within governments. That's what is going to change systems within agencies. And that's what's going to change systems on the ground. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Joe, for those for that input. And we're really taking on that. This system transformation requires a change of all of us, including us, the institutions, to continue serving the countries, to accelerate action because it's what it is required. Now it's my honor to give the floor to my really good friend Inger Andersson, the Executive Director of UNEP, to also hear her reflections. Inger.
Thank you very, very much. When you think about it, it sounds audacious. It sounds daring. It sounds ambitious. It sounds innovative. It sounds amazing. And then you think about it, and then actually you realize it's entirely doable. It's entirely doable. And when I hear and see how the Pan-African community, how the African Union, how you as leaders in your sectors, the environment ministers, have stepped up, and how we see national governments as well as the agency around the Great Green Wall lean in, then we can see that there's hope. Because, friends, if we can put people on the moon and in space, surely we can create the Great Green Wall. The complexity that it has is actually not that complex. It needs clear leadership. And on the continent, that is what we are seeing from the highest top, from the Nigerian president, who now heads the council. This is a critical moment. We from UNEP have been very proud. Before, we placed someone in Mauritania in the secretariat. They're still there, and they're trying to work with the secretariat. All of us need to get more efficient, including UNEP and the agencies, but also the secretariat. We all need to up that. But it has been a great pleasure for us to work with partners. We get that the indivisibility between the Desertification Convention, the Biodiversity Convention, and the Climate Convention is one that every person that I meet from the continent gets. Because you cannot think in silos when your earth is pulled literally from under your feet in terms of productivity. So ministers, you are here today speaking on the Great Green Wall, and this is so important. Your leadership will matter. When we see countries that have already prepared the plans, your countries are amongst those that have already prepared the plans, which is fantastic. It will take that collaboration, it will take lessons learning, and it will definitely take finding ways to inspire the private sector. Because this is not just about planting trees, this is about creating livelihoods. This is about creating small businesses. And that is why I salute you that you're bringing in the bigger lenders like the World Bank, like others. I know that the IFC under Makta Diop is very, very keen to be present as well as IFAD and others. We from UNEP will continue to deliver the science, we'll continue to build capacity in the secretariat, and we will continue to help on the communications, which is what we have done. Now, as far as what is planted, it's very important that we think about who owns that stuff, what are the property rights, how will women benefit, who will make sure that the planting gets watered, and what can we do if we ensure that these are commercially viable trees, that they are Acacia Senegal, Acacia Seyal, the kind of trees that will actually deliver benefits to people. These are the issues that remains to be resolved in terms of who will benefit. But we from UNEP, we stand very closely with you, and we will do all that we can to continue to support you from our headquarters in Nairobi, Kenya. Thank you.
Thank you, Inger. And when we hear these inspiring words, it's about having leadership, and we are seeing this leadership with these authorities and the clear vision. So thank you for this. Now I would like to give the floor to His Excellency Dr. Brahim Sard of the Pan-African Agency. Dr. Brahim.
Merci, Madame. Merci, Madame. Après le discours de Madame la Commissaire, je crois que j'aurai quelques mots à dire seulement. Excellences, Mesdames et Messieurs les ministres et représentants des partenaires techniques et financiers, chers participants, Mesdames et Messieurs, je voudrais avant tout, avec votre permission, Madame la Commissaire, Mesdames et Messieurs les ministres, au nom de l'ensemble des États membres de la Grande Muraille Verte, remercier tous les panélistes, mais aussi le Fonds Vert Climat et l'UNCCD pour leur accompagnement de facilitation de cette importante rencontre. Vous savez que notre défi majeur reste la mobilisation des ressources. Et cette mobilisation des ressources passe avant tout. Notre objectif est solliciter vos appuis respectifs dans un site event et de discuter et trouver ensemble des solutions idoines à l'épineuse problématique de la mobilisation des ressources au profit de la Grande Muraille Verte. Le constat est que l'initiative Grande Muraille Verte, de par son concept et son approche, est plus que tout autre le modèle innovant de gestion des territoires arides et semi-arides au Sahel. Les annonces de financement faites sur la Grande Muraille Verte sont la preuve que cette initiative est appropriée par les partenaires internationaux. Aussi, force est de constater que des difficultés réelles sont observées au vu du faible taux de mobilisation des ressources tant au niveau régional qu'au niveau national. En effet, après une décennie de mise en œuvre, les États membres de la Grande Muraille Verte ont fourni des efforts louables et c'est essentiellement sur fonds propres, ce qui est à saluer. Les États ont aussi entamé dans le cadre des coalitions nationales, mis en place des mécanismes endogènes adaptés à chaque pays pour la mobilisation des ressources au vu du caractère multisectoriel et inclusif de l'initiative. En ce qui concerne la mobilisation des ressources exogènes, en appui à ces efforts des pays, 2 années après la concrétisation des 10 annonces n'est pas totalement effective. Il y a urgence dans cette mobilisation, car le changement climatique et leurs conséquences néfastes accentuent davantage l'érosion du capital naturel et donc la précarité des populations. La complexité des procédures freine nos acteurs. La complexité des procédures freine nos acteurs. Toutes ces procédures par les bailleurs de fonds différents. Dans le court terme, une des solutions à préconiser est avant tout la nécessité de faire une évaluation objective des mécanismes de mobilisation actuels mis en place et les orienter pour une question d'efficacité. Il y a aussi les questions inhérentes aux procédures de partenaires, souvent longues et compliquées pour nos pays et qui doivent être simplifiées pour faciliter l'absorption des dits financements. Il est enfin urgent que les partenaires techniques et financiers accompagnent les pays à l'élaboration et la formulation des programmes et projets bancables. Je vous remercie.
Thank you. Thank you so much. So we're hearing that we have a very ambitious goal, but we have the leadership, that this is a transforming vision. It's not only about planting trees, it's about creating these green jobs, that we need to mobilize more resources, accelerate action, and we have the technology, we have the tools, but we need to continue working on this vision and this radical collaboration. Now I would like to open the floor for 5 minutes. If somebody will have a question, then if you can give your name and the institution you're representing and to whom is the question.
Merci beaucoup, Excellences, Monsieur et Madame les ministres, Monsieur le secrétaire exécutif de l'Agence panafricaine de la Grande Muraille Verte, distingués invités, je voudrais tout d'abord vous remercier quand même de ces assises, mais m'excuser auprès de vous au nom du ministre de l'Environnement du Tchad, qui a été rappelé hier au pays pour des raisons du pays. Donc, il m'a chargé de vous transmettre son message, qui s'excuse auprès de vous pour cette absence. Et le ministre aussi en charge du plan qui était aussi réparti hier et il s'excuse auprès de vous. Donc, je voudrais, comme notre chef, qui est le secrétaire exécutif de l'agence panafricaine, a dit, moi, c'est M. Kodou Choko Tidjani, je suis le DG de la Grande Muraille Verte du Tchad. Je voudrais d'abord, même comme le temps ne nous permet pas, je voudrais parler de toutes les agences, parce que nous sommes communs et nous sommes un seul pays, et les 11 pays doivent parler le même langage sous la houlette de l'agence panafricaine. Aujourd'hui, les 11 pays subissent beaucoup de pressions. Les pressions d'ordre écologique, les pressions d'ordre surtout aussi des immigrants, tous ces paramètres-là entrent dans le cadre de la Grande Muraille Verte. Et la population qui est dans l'emprise de la Grande Muraille Verte subit ces conséquences. Et comme le secrétaire exécutif a dit, cette année, l'agence de la Grande Muraille Verte du Tchad a pu mobiliser les fonds propres pour mettre sur pied 25 000 plants. Nous avons actuellement plus de 150 000 plants qui sont disponibles, mais faute de financement, on n'arrive pas à les planter. Donc, je tiens d'abord, m'excuser, mais auprès de vous pour remercier Madame Saratoui, qui aujourd'hui nous propulse au niveau de toutes les agences et qui met à notre disposition des experts aussi qui pourront nous aider. Donc, la mobilisation surtout des fonds au niveau des fonds verts climat, nous aimerions que ça soit il y aura un peu de souplesse. Parce que la mobilisation est tellement complexe que on n'arrive pas à accéder vraiment au fonds pour qu'il y ait les réalisations sur l'emprise de la Grande Muraille Verte. Donc, le ministre, comme je l'ai dit, a fait représenter par honorable député qui est en charge de l'ODD au niveau de l'Assemblée nationale du Tchad et toutes les éminentes personnalités qui sont derrière nous. Nous sommes à peu près plus de 10 cadres que les femmes nous dépassent, mais c'est normal. Donc, elles sont là et nous nous excusons auprès de ça. Mais nous tenons à remercier les GF. Mais nous aimerions vraiment que la mobilisation de ces fonds à travers le GF il y aura un peu de souplesse. Parce que c'est tellement compliqué que nous n'arrivons pas à mobiliser ces fonds à temps. Alors que le désert n'attend pas, le changement du climat n'attend pas, et tous ces aléas climatiques en Afrique aujourd'hui ne n'attendent pas. Et lorsqu'on vient dans ces genres des événements, on nous annonce des fonds, et on revient une année après, on nous annonce la même chose. Mais quand on repart sur le terrain, le désert avance. Donc, tâchez vraiment mobiliser des fonds auprès de l'Agence panafricaine de la Grande Muraille Verte pour que nous agissions ensemble les 11 pays. Merci beaucoup.
Thank you. Well, we have an issue of time right now. So what I will propose is that I will give the floor for final remarks to choose, and then bilaterally, I think we can take the questions because I'm seeing that some of the excellencies needs to go, and maybe we can manage it in that way. Yeah, then we can take some other questions bilaterally. So choose over to you for the final reflections, please.
Thank you, Andrea, and thank you so much, Excellencies, as well as all the distinguished colleagues, as well as Inger and Joe for being here. And this is a packed house. I think this is probably one of the most well-attended events we've had so far. So thank you so much for being here. I need to reflect a little bit. And I guess the Nigerian minister also pointed this out. Way back when there was a Senegalese president who went to the African Union, made an appeal that we want to do something across the African, sub-Saharan Africa on a joint initiative. And that also resonated with the Nigerian president. And I think this is maybe 2007, 2008. There is a long history of this that we have all journeyed together to culminate to this point. And our response as a GEF to be your partner so far was a direct response from the calls and requests from the African leaders way back when. I would say at that time it was the leadership of our former CEO Monique Barbu, who said, we're going to respond to this call from the Nigerian Senegalese president, Nigerian president, African Union, by really trying to coalesce what we can do as a GEF on a program of Great Green Wall plus Lake Chad. And at that point, we went to the World Bank and mobilized a program called SEWAP as well as Terra Africa. And that was, I think, the genesis of this journey from our perspective to help and assist the countries collectively to move forward. Fast forward 12, 13, 14 years, I'm not even sure anymore. It's really amazing to see that we're now really jumping into the new phase of Great Green Wall. And it's no surprise that we have Deputy Executive Secretary Andre Meza here from CCD, because we at the GEF do not consider this to be a climate change initiative. This is an initiative that cuts across biodiversity, it cuts across land degradation. It's about your livelihoods, it's about your future, and it's about what to do when you have all these countries together to move forward. And what are we going to do moving forward? Let me just touch on that. We are having this meeting with the GCF here because the GEF and GCF collectively decided the Great Green Wall 2.0 will be our priority. This is a priority, okay? So we have already done some work, for instance, with IFA to tandemly support the global and regional initiatives moving forward. We are also working with the UNEP because at the end of the day, this has to be driven by countries. But for this to be country driven, we also understand the support should be provided to create the platforms, but policy coherence as well as knowledge sharing. So we're also happy to support that. And I was so happy to hear from the minister from Nigeria saying, you have the pipeline. Minister from Mauritania telling us we need to be prioritizing this work. And also from the minister from Nigeria saying there's a task force, we really need to move forward. We're ready to move forward in that. And the GEF and GCF, we have different business models, but we're very much committed to move forward to work on this one. And through our GEF 8 programming possibilities, all of you, the countries, you already know how much you're getting from us. And for the GCF, replenishment is starting, and we're all hoping for a very, very robust replenishment so that they can come in and help you in the next phase. And collectively, so we can do justice to this particular cause that we all know is very important. And let me just say that looking forward, we just had a great COP in Abidjan for CCD, and we've been also asked to support Southern African Great Green Wall. So other countries are looking to you as a great example of collective action as well as programming to move forward. So we really hope that moving forward, it's not just Great Green Wall. We really want you to also inspire and mobilizing other countries to come together for a greener planet. Thank you so much for today.
Thank you. What a wonderful words for closing this event. So we have a clear vision, ambition. We have the leadership from the governments. We have the commitment coming from the partnerships, the facilities. So let's continue working to really see this transformation happening. So thank you for being here. Thank you for the interest. And let's keep on working to see the transformation of the Great Green Wall and all the jobs that are required there. Thank you.